What's up, last Cloudia? Somebody recently made a comment on one of my older videos. It was more of a question, actually. And when I first saw it, I had an immediate answer. But then as I thought about it more, I realized there's a lot of nuance to this question and answer that I thought it would be worth making a video out of. Now, the question that was asked was, would I prioritize doing Insight for Melza over Leena? Now, my gut reaction was just to say, yeah, Melza over Leena all day. But then I thought about it, and that's not necessarily correct. It depends on a few things. So I'm going to give you the short answer, and I'm also going to give you kind of the long answer because there's a lot more to it. The short answer is if you care about PvP, Melza 100% is priority. However, if you care more about PvE, Leena is actually the character you should prioritize. So Melza, I've already done a video about her insight. So if you're curious about what she does and any of that kind of playtesting, just look at my insight video for Melza, and that'll give you more details. But basically, with Melza, she's just a very strong tank, and at one time was the best tank in the entire game. Now, I will say that if you were recently pulled for the new Ruto, the new shift version of Ruto, I can definitely say from what I've seen in Arena that Ruto is definitely the new best tank in the game. But if you did not pull Ruto, which I also did not, I would say that Melza is probably a good investment if you care about PvP. Now, on the flip side, for those who don't really care about PvP, to be perfectly honest, Melza's not really going to do much for your team in terms of any kind of protection or any kind of support that nobody else would be able to do already. So that's why for Melza, if you care about PvP and you don't have the new Rudo, then yeah, definitely prioritize for her. But if not, let's talk about the other character. Here's Leena. This is one of the very first characters that was on a banner, like an old, like year one of Last Claudia. She was basically a premier healer. However, there were some things about her that I thought were kind of awkward. We'll get into all of that, but the main thing you want to talk about is why would you choose Leena over Melza? Well, first and foremost, for a PvE kind of account, like if you don't care about PvP and you're more of a PvE person, Leena is actually worth investing in, to be perfectly honest. However, that also depends on what you already have. So, for example, if you already have, let's say, let me see if I can find her real quick. If you have her, you're probably not going to need Leena unless you're doing any kind of content that requires multiple teams. Same thing with if you've already pulled this character from the collab, from the Star Ocean collab, Reyna, you won't necessarily need Leena either unless you're doing a multi-team battle kind of thing and you need like extra healers for different teams. But I would definitely say that the insight for Leena is comparable to this character right here. They are very, very similar, I will say. I still think that Shift Sarah, this version, is the best of all of the healing support characters. But I would say both Reyna and Leena are like a close second. Like you can argue one being better than the other. And this is Reyna versus Leena's inside version, not Leena's default version. So this video is going to do another thing. It's also going to be kind of my insight review on Leena in general, since I honestly haven't done that. It's not going to be as in-depth because I haven't actually done all of her insight abilities yet. So I haven't like tested everything, but there are a few small things that I've tested that are worth talking about, which will explain why I think Leena's insight is actually really good. All right, the first thing I have to discuss, this is arguably the most important thing. If you unlock the insight to unlock their enhanced skills, this is huge by itself. So, for those of you that remember, one of the issues with Leena is that a lot of her abilities required her to basically get in the enemy's face. And as a healer, you don't want to do that because that puts you in danger. So if you want to, like, try to do some, like, what is it called? Whatever that kiss thing. I think it's on here. Hold on, I forgot what it's called already. But basically, that ability that gives you more MP. I'm not gonna look for it, but goddess kiss. That's what it's called. If you're doing like a goddess kiss thing, it's dangerous for her because she would have to be in their face. However, with her new abilities, she doesn't have to be in their face anymore. Her skill 2 can now hit from a long range, and her regular attacks can also hit from a long range. So no longer are you having to put this character in danger in order to, make her useful as a long distance healer. She can actually do it naturally now, whereas she couldn't do that in her original form. So that is huge. Also, when you unlock the inside part of it, it does give her some extra stuff for her traits as well. So this is all extra because I'm not going to really go into all of this, but basically it just makes her better at what she does. A lot of healing, a lot of, defense shrugging, all kinds of stuff. But that's the thing about Lena that I think is probably the most important thing is she no longer has to get in the opponent's face in order to do her normal attacks and her skills. So that's huge. As far as her actual insight buffs, there are only a few things I'm going to mention here that's worth noting. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to just the parts that I think stand out more than anything else. I'm just going to kind of go a little bit down here. So she does have auto heal, which is nice, but that's not really what I'm looking for. Here we go. Oh, actually, that's not it either. Let's keep going. So while Unity is alive, give all allies damage from bosses minus 35%. This is basically a giant shield 2 for the entire party built into this character. That's huge. That means that if you're trying to, fight a boss that's, wiping out your party, having her built with that ability right there might help your team to survive a bit, especially if you don't have any of the other premium healing characters. So I think that's also pretty big in itself. So honestly, and also M&D protection, continuously cut a set amount of damage taken, boost damage cut based on M&D. I'm assuming that the higher her M&D is, the more damage she shrugs off, which has the potential to be good. But I can't say because I've seen these kind of abilities that supposedly protect you from damage the higher a certain stat is, but it doesn't actually do anywhere as well as it reads. So I'm going to take this particular passive with a grain of salt. But other than that, she has a lot of good other passives that give her some protection, better stuff for her healing, more skill slots, all kinds of nice little things that will help her be a good support character. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring up here is that in terms of Melza versus Leena, it honestly depends on one, what do you care about more between PvP and PvE? And two, do you have other characters that are better? So in Melza's case, if you don't have Rudo, then and you really care about PvP and you want a good tank, then definitely prioritize Melza. But if you're a PvE person, especially if you don't have some of the better ones, you definitely want Leena. And I'll be honest, I'm actually at the point right now where I'm actually convinced to even do her inside just because I kind of like how good she is, even though I really don't have any need to use her. But I respect what Last Cloudia did to this character in terms of insight. I think they did a really good job. So I'm going to say that if I'm going to rate Leena specifically on a scale of 1 to 10, I would actually give her a solid 9 out of 10. I think she's a very solid character. Like I said, she's probably like the number two, possible number three best like support healer in the game. I don't know if I think she's better than Reyna or not. That's hard to say. However, I know she's definitely not number one. Like no one's taken the number one spot for a while. But if you didn't pull like the new Sarah, that's the healing version, then I think it's 100% worth like spending the resources to level her up. And I have some extra resources, so I can afford to blow some on making Leena better, even if I don't use her. So I think she's definitely worth it. And also, I just kind of want to say, if you guys ever have like questions, if it's something that's not like that would require like a short answer, there's a small chance that I might make a video out of it. And if there are any inside characters you want me to fully talk about, definitely let me know. If it's a character that I have, I might take the time to build them up and maybe do some testing and provide my own thoughts. I don't really mind focusing my Last Cloudia content more on insights, especially since I don't really do new banner character info anymore, with the exception of like seasonal characters or collabs. That's really all that I talk about much anymore. I don't really do DOH stuff because I don't really pull on any of those units, or at least most of them. So I figured that, insight characters might be a new focus for my Last Cloudia content. So, if there's anyone specific you want to hear about that I haven't already talked about, let me know in the comments. And if I can get them built up, I may actually do a video on them eventually. But thank you for listening to this video, and take care, y'all.